The race for governor is taking shape as a new candidate launches her campaign, hoping to take on Greg Abbott.
Until we have a governor who puts Texans first, we will never have the Texas that we deserve.
One Texas lawmaker makes her case to lead the state, but she faces a packed field of diverse candidates hoping to win the Democratic nomination. Demand for high-skilled workers is growing in Texas, but some believe the state needs more resources to train them.
If we quadrupled our output, there would still be a skills gap in Texas.
Now voters face a choice, the multi-million-dollar plan that aims to get more Texans ready to work. Access to health care often depends on where you live. We'll look closer at a new effort to boost care in rural parts of Texas.
Produced from the Capitol in Austin and airing statewide, this is the award-winning State of Texas.
Hello, and thank you for joining us. I'm Josh Hinkle. Greg Abbott is expected to win re-election in next year's race for governor, but Texas Democrats are working to change that narrative. Now there's a new candidate in the race. Gina Hinojosa represents a state house district in Austin, but she launched her campaign for governor in Brownsville, where she grew up.
And Texas needs a governor who works for you, and I will be that governor. I will be the first governor of the state of Texas from the Rio Grande Valley.
Hinojosa enters a crowded Democratic primary full of diverse candidates. Our Dylan McKim breaks down the Democratic field and what the governor is saying about his competition.
After nearly a decade in the State House, State Representative Gina Hinojosa is running for governor. A harsh critic of Governor Greg Abbott, she said she will focus on affordability, education, and health care issues.
We need a governor of Texas who prioritizes the needs of Texans as opposed to the billionaire class, which is what we're seeing Governor Greg Abbott do.
Abbott is running for his fourth consecutive term. A spokesperson in his campaign issued a statement Wednesday morning saying, quote, "Texans deserve a governor who will continue to secure the border, fight for safer communities, and uphold family values, not someone who supports failed, radical policies that hurt hardworking Texans." Hinojosa joins a crowded Democratic field, all hoping to take down Abbott. They include Bobby Cole, a retired firefighter and farmer who hopes being a political outsider will work to his advantage.
With my background, being from rural Texas, working class, I believe I can resonate with a lot of voters in rural Texas.
Then there's Andrew White, an entrepreneur and son of former Texas Governor Mark White. He finished second in the 2018 Democratic primary. This time around, he's focusing on attracting independent voters.
The secret to being successful in business translates into government as well. You have to be a team builder. Nothing big, nothing important happens from one extreme to the other.
And Nick Pappas, a retired U.S. Marine who says he's been traveling around the state to get people to go out and vote.
I don't look at us as competing against each other. We're all running against Abbott.
The Texas Democratic Party chair, Kendall Scudder, views the contested primary as a good thing, hoping it will lead to larger voter turnouts.
I hope that they do spend lots of money turning Democrats out to vote and making sure that we're contacting in communities where they're traditionally overlooked.
Dylan McKim, State of Texas.
Before joining the legislature, Hinojosa served as president of the Austin ISD School Board. But education is just one of her priorities in her campaign to lead the state. Capitol correspondent Dylan McKim sat down with Hinojosa to dig deeper into the issues driving her run for governor.
If you do become governor, what kind of priorities would you have as a governor? I know education is probably big for you, but what other things would you like to address?
Affordability is a big issue for Texans right now. We know that many Texans, too many Texans, can't afford basic health care. For instance, in Texas, our uninsured rate is 2 times the national average. We can fix this. We can put over 1 million more Texans on health insurance if we simply accept those federal funds that Texans have already paid to the federal government to cover our health insurance. Greg Abbott has refused to do that, and Texans are less healthy, and Texans are not getting essential health care that they need, sometimes to survive, because of that decision.
You're launching your campaign in Brownsville. Border and immigration, of course, are some important issues for Texas voters. I'm curious to know, how would you approach border security, balancing that with humanitarian treatment of migrants who cross the border here in Texas?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned humanitarian treatment because that is essential for how we treat all human beings with dignity, respecting their lives. And at the same time, we need to have a safe and secure border. In any kind of immigration policy, we need to treat those who have roots in our community, who are essential parts of our community, who have families here. There are many mixed status families. We need to treat them differently, give them an opportunity if they are providing for their family, if they are law abiding, give them a chance to earn legalization here. They're different from people who are just coming here, and it was the caravans that we saw over the years that were making the border unstable. Those situations should be treated differently, and absolutely we need to ensure that our border is secure.
Okay. Why is right now the right moment for you to run for governor? You've served almost a decade in the state house. Why is now? Why are you picking right now to choose to run for governor?
Well, I never wanted to be a politician. I made my husband promise to never run for office before we got married. But when my son's school was threatened for closure, I got mad. I was just a mad mom, and I ran for the school board. Won there. The big issue that I found there is the state's not giving our public schools the money that they should, the money that we pay into for property taxes. And so as a result, schools across the state are closing. Now, after a decade in the Texas House, I've come to understand that the biggest problem we have in Texas is Greg Abbott's corruption. Because he is prioritizing his donors, Texans aren't getting the investments in the things that they need. And until we have a governor who puts Texans first, we will never have the Texas that we deserve.
Things have become very bitter on a national scale, at a local scale. It's Republicans versus Democrats, us versus them. How do you approach this in a campaign where you're going against somebody that you've been outspoken with before? How do you address the divisiveness of politics in the environment that we're in right now? But also, you're able to, campaign against somebody and try to prove that you're the right person for the job. How do you balance that approach?
It's always important to me to be honest in what I'm speaking about. And the facts speak for themselves when it comes to Greg Abbott. So much so that many of my best allies when it comes to fighting for our public schools are MAGA moms who have joined with me to say no more privatization of our public school dollars, because that is a big grift. And so I'm happy to work with Democrats or Republicans to do what is right for Texans.
Hinojosa is just the latest Democrat to join the race for governor. We also spoke with Andrew White, Bobby Cole, and Nick Pappas. We posted those interviews on our website. Just look for the links in this week's State of Texas story.
What I've realized is that it's time for the next generation of leadership to step into the fray to lead us moving forward.
A Republican congressman shakes up the race for U.S. Senate, why he says his age is a factor that voters should consider.
There's just a lot of opportunity around here.
Demand is growing for workers in Texas, but only for those with the right skills. We look at the plan before voters now to get more money for job training.